Good morning, CWA family. Let's hear it again. Good morning, CWA family. I'm District 1 Vice President Dennis Trainor, and it's a pleasure to be with you this morning. Our next speaker is someone who always understood that this country is at its best when workers have real power, and he has used this power to strengthen ours. It's an honor to have us with us today, Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer. Over the course of his career, Leader Schumer has built a reputation as someone who knows how to fight, and more importantly, someone who knows who he's fighting for. Whether it's protecting collective bargaining rights, defending retirement security, or supporting investments creating union jobs, he has consistently been willing to take on these fights at the highest levels of government. In this moment, that kind of leadership matters more than ever. Workers across this country are dealing with rising economic pressures while also facing coordinated attacks on organized rights and labor protections. We need leaders who will not only support labor in principle, but who will continue stepping up when those rights and protections are on the line. And throughout his time in the Senate, Leader Schumer has done just that. He has kept labor close because he understands that progress only happens when working people have a seat at the table and the power to demand better. So today, we are proud to welcome someone who has stood with workers throughout some of the toughest fights in recent years and who continues to be a powerful voice for labor in Washington. Please give a warm CWA welcome to Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer. Let's hear it for Chuck.
Thank you very much, my great friend Dennis from Region 1. All right, union. 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 That's what I believed my whole life. My relationship with CWA goes way back. I don't know how many of you know, my mother-in-law was a member of CWA, Local 1180. And when she got sick, the union had health care benefits, had fought for health care benefits, so it helped her. When she retired, she had a decent pension until after she died. They tried to take it away. We got that back. But so that's part one. Part two, when I first ran for office, I was running as a pro-union guy. I'm from a union family. No one thought I had a chance to win. Nobody. In fact, I went into my local barber, Frankie, in Brooklyn. Anyone here from Brooklyn? All right. On Nostrand Avenue and Avenue R. It's now Michael's, the Italian restaurant, but it was a barber shop. And I went into Frankie to say, Frankie, would you put a poster in the window? He said, sure, kid. He said, kid, I never told you this. I'm not only local barber, I'm the local bookie. The odds against you were 50-1. How much you betting on yourself? I had nobody. I was running against a big, corrupt Democratic machine. But guess who was in my corner? Some guy named Morty Barr, who was then head of District 1, where Dennis now is, and filling his shoes very well. And then when Morty became head of the whole CWA, again, we worked hand in glove together, even in those early days when I was just starting out. And now I'm proud to say that somebody who has ably filled those large, large shoes that Morty Barr had, and he's a good friend of mine, and we probably talk just about every week, is Claude Cummings, your great CWA president. So let's hear it for Claude. We just talked about how we're going to win Texas. He's from there, you know. Okay, so it's great. Can I tell one more story? This is not. I talked about my mother-in-law. Let me talk about my dad a little bit, because it's a funny story. I like it anyway. So my dad was a minor hero in World War II. He flew over the Himalaya mountains, got shot at, never hit. The only injury he got a parasite and lost his hair in the airfields in Burma. And when I became a congressman, he calls me up. So now you're a congressman, can I get my Purple Heart? I said, it's not for parasites, Dad. But in any case, he struggled his whole life in a junky little exterminating business. He hated the job. But at 68, he retired. My brother, who's the more financially successful Schumer, split with them a little house in Florida. So every winter from Brooklyn, from New York, they drive down to Florida, stay in the house for a few months, and go back, and they loved it. He never had took up golf. He played golf. Some of his friends were down there. But as they got older, as their friends were dying off, he could no longer play golf. And so they needed something to do. And Florida Atlantic University provides free college courses. They never went to college, either of them. Free college courses for senior citizens. And so they enrolled in a course called Humor. What was the course called Humor? Every Thursday at 4 o'clock, they'd roll up to Florida Atlantic University and go into the classroom. And all it was some erstwhile comedian who never made it in the Catskills telling jokes for 45 minutes. My father never went to college. He said, college is pretty easy. I should have gone. Anyway, they would call me up with their favorite joke every week. So this is one of my favorites. Mrs. Walters is brought before the judge. And he looks at her and he says, Mrs. Walters, you're back. Yes, Your Honor, I'm back. And what did you steal this time, Mrs. Walters? I stole a can of peaches from the supermarket down the road. And the judge is exasperated. He says, look, Mrs. Walters, I know you're a kleptomaniac, and I know it's an illness, and I know you can't help yourself. But for Lord's sake, this is the 27th time you've been brought before me for shoplifting, and it's this year, and it's only March. I have to sentence you to some time in jail. I got no choice. So how many peaches were in the can, Mrs. Walters? Your Honor, there were 4 peaches in the can. Then I have no choice. I'm going to sentence you to 4 days in jail, 1 for each peach. He's about to bang the gavel and pronounce sentence when a gentleman in the middle of the courtroom gets up all excited. Your Honor, may it please the court, I'm a husband. She also stole a can of peas. Have you heard that one, Claude? Dennis, have you heard that one? He did. A few of the New Yorkers heard it, but no one else. Look, I believe in you. I believe we need a middle class in America. And that's getting harder and harder to stay in that middle class. And one of the few things that keeps people in the middle class is a strong union movement. And that's why everything I have done, I say that I'm not letting a single effing dollar of federal money be granted unless there's union jobs, unless we have project labor agreements, unless we have... I said when your pensions were being decimated, I know what the pensions are like for my own family. You put in money every 2 weeks or every month, and you know that it's not going to make you rich, but at least you can live some life of dignity with that pension. And all of a sudden, during the crisis, during the financial crisis, the big bosses said, oh, it was the unions who are causing this crisis, and they tried to cut down the pensions. But some of them wanted to cut it only 10%. A lot of them wanted to cut it 90 effing %, so there was no money left. I'll never forget, this was not a CWA guy, but a big construction guy was near me in Buffalo. He was a big fella. And he starts crying. And I said, what's the matter? He said, they just told me my pension's going down 90%. He said, I can take care of myself, but I need that pension. I need that pension for my wife and my mom who's still alive. What do I do? And we fought, and we fought, and we fought, and we got back the pensions, not 70% of them, not 80% of them, not 90% of them, but 100% of them, and millions of workers across the country are getting it. What about the bipartisan infrastructure law, which we did? Again, the big contractors and all of that said, yeah, we'll do it. And we said, you're not doing it unless there are Buy America requirements in all of the things you buy. You're not doing it unless there's PLA, unless there's Davis-Bacon in all the steps you do. And we got it. When we tried to pass new power, solar and wind, we insisted that every solar panel that was being built with federal dollars, every windmill that was being built with federal dollars be union labor, and it is. We have done more. We have put more people in. And that infrastructure bill in New York City is building the new airports at JFK, which how many here are flight attendants? You know how important that is. But it's also being done union. And everything we do. Why? Because if we do nothing, before there were unions in America, there was a few very rich people, and about 90% of America was poor. And because of the work of the predecessors of Dennis and Claude, and predecessors before me, we created a union movement under Franklin D. Roosevelt. And we created a middle class. And it was glorious. And in the 50s, 60s, 70s, incomes went up. People saw their kids doing better than them. It was a great America. But then the bosses started getting power. They started feeding a ton of money, I hate to say it, but it's true, into the Republican Party. And when they started getting power in 1980, they started trying to tear apart the union movement. They passed laws that made it harder to organize and easier to stop. There's so many new industries now. If we had the old laws on the books, almost all of those industries automatically would be labor. You'd be allowed to go in and organize, and you'd win most of the time. And it would be great. But they tore those apart. They started putting people on the NLRB that are anti-labor and made decision after decision for the bosses and against the union movement. And the strength and the percentage of Americans who were in unions went down. Some because union jobs were kicked out, but many because all these new industries didn't, that you're trying to organize right now. I'm working with Claude and Dennis and your leadership to help in a lot of those places. But it was almost impossible to organize, and then they go before the NLRB. So we have a mission. Our mission is to take back the Senate, which we're going to do in November with your help. Last night, we had a major victory in Iowa. We're going to win Iowa. Anyone here from Iowa? Yeah. Texas, states we didn't think we'd win. And we're going to win in Maine, and we're going to win in Ohio, and we're going to win in in Alaska and North Carolina, and we're going to keep our seat in Oklahoma and Michigan. And when we get in, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to, first, we're going to get that whole bipartisan infrastructure bill back, bigger and better than ever, and every nickel of that will be union labor. We're going to put people who defend you on the NLRB, so when you start organizing, you'll be able to organize and help all those new workers live the kind of life that you did and are. We're going to pass the PRO Act, which again makes it easier to organize. So there's a lot we can do, and the list could go on and on and on. All those offshore windmills that they're trying to stop, we're going to make sure they go forward with union labor. So we're with you all the way, but we need you to get out and help us. Time's up. We're passing. Well, I always listen to the rank and file. Okay, we are going to do so much because this will be our chance. When we take back the House, take back the Senate, and then in 2028 elect a Democratic president, it's going to be a new world. It's going to be the world like what I was talking about a few decades ago, where union power was strong, where the number of union workers increased, where the middle class grew, and when you knew that because of what you had done, your kids will lead a better life than you. Thank you. God bless CWA. God bless the union movement. God bless your great leaders. On to victory in November. Thank you, everybody. Stay strong.